I bought a whole bunch of Zara perfumes and I'm feeling a little bit of buyer's remorse. Not because I got into Zara fragrances at all, but because I bought so many. So I picked up 9 Zara fragrances and I don't know why I picked up as many as I did, because who has the time or the space to even use all of these? I mean, Zara fragrances are inexpensive and I think that's part of the appeal of them, to be able to pick up as many as you want for the price of 1 or 2 fragrances at Sephora or one of the designer or niche houses. And so here we are. I picked up way too many, but maybe we can talk through what I got and what I think about them and whether I would repurchase them if given the opportunity, so we can figure out, is it worth your money to be spending $20-something on Zara fragrances? Because even if it's inexpensive, it's still your money, my money, other people's money that we maybe don't need to spend if the fragrances are not actually giving. Hi, I'm Janique and I love an inexpensive perfume, but that isn't enough of a reason to overstock those inexpensive perfumes in my home. I need to have a little bit of restraint, and maybe that's the lesson this haul is teaching me. I'm gonna go through the 9 Zara fragrances I picked up. Some of these I expected to blow my socks off. Others I didn't know what to expect. In general, I will say these fragrances smell the way people described them. Others were generally disappointing, but we'll talk about them as I talk about each fragrance. And while you're here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You don't need to wait till the end of the video to do any of that stuff. We are going to be having fun today in this video, and I would really appreciate it if you show me a little bit of love on this video. First fragrance that I want to talk about is Ebony Wood. This fragrance is, oh my goodness, the hype was real, but it was totally warranted. I am so impressed with this fragrance. First of all, it is definitely a dupe of Wood Sage and Sea Salt from Jo Malone. I mean, Jo Malone also made Ebony Wood, so she would know what was in the original, right? I think the performance is fantastic. I think one of the best parts, which I think is a little bit different from the original, I find the citrus and the greenness in this to be a little bit more pronounced and the saltiness in this to be a little bit more restrained. So I think Wood Sage and Sea Salt is a little bit saltier and a little less citrusy and green, while this one like heavily leans into the citrus greenness of it all. And I think that makes this, for me, the better of the two, honestly. I think the woodiness in this is a little bit dry, like it isn't like creamy like you would with like a sandalwood fragrance, which I love about this. It makes it feel like a very light summery fragrance that has these really interesting nuances to it that are really pretty. I would say all of the hype around Ebony Wood, I cannot believe I so thoroughly agree with everyone. This fragrance does smell super expensive. It does not smell like it costs $40. Like, it smells like a really bougie fragrance that not only smells like quality, but makes you smell like a bougie ass bitch as well. And I absolutely love this. I will absolutely be taking this on vacation with me, like no joke about it, because I enjoy it so much. Have it sprayed on me. It is just such a nice fragrance. Like, even the atomizer is pretty good. Like, the spraying is wonderful. I will say, to start off, this was my first Zara fragrance to try, and I was so impressed to start, so blown away. And it was, I'm not saying it was down from here, but it was going to be hard for anything to live up to this one, to be honest. I also picked up Zara Red Temptation. To be honest, to be fair, this was the reason I did this haul to begin with. Like, the main thing that had caught my eye was Red Temptation and me wanting yet another Baccarat Rouge 540 dupe. How do I feel about picking this up? I think it does smell like the original in sort of a much lighter way. So in my experience, as somebody who has way too many BR 540 dupes, I would say each of the dupes that I have puts its own little bit of a stamp or its own little twist on BR 540. So like the Frank Olivier version has like a little bit more citrus and less aromatics, or Annie Abiad has like more florals and some sweeter notes like kumquat, and less of the woodiness and the more sort of masculine elements of the fragrance. Now I would say the way this distinguishes itself is as if like everything from BR 540 is there, but everything, the volume is turned down. So Zara hasn't taken any real creative licensing or licenses with the fragrance to like push either the florals or the sweeter notes or the woodiness or the aromatic notes in this fragrance. It just sort of dialed everything back just a tad, and it makes it so it's a much softer fragrance that you might be able to wear in the height of summer in the daytime. I would also say it's still very pretty. If you like that DNA, this still gives that. The performance is pretty standard for a Zara fragrance. You're getting about 4 hours out of it. To be honest, I'm going to enjoy wearing this. I will finish it because I do love a BR 540 dupe, but I would not repurchase this because I think that I would much rather have something that performs really well, even if it's slightly more citrus than the original or slightly more floral than the original. And so even though I'm enjoying this and I will continue to enjoy it, it would not be a repurchase for me personally, because there are so many other BR 540 dupes that I have and I've tried that cost about the same amount of money that I think are much better. The next fragrance is also supposed to be a dupe of BR 540. Now this time it's the extrait version, and it's for Him Red. I've made it over to the men's section and picked this up, and you wanted to either get this or Majestic Green. I ended up getting this one. Now the thing don't work. This don't work, but whatever. This is not a dupe. This is not a dupe by any means. Now, when you smell it in the atomizer, it smells like a dupe. You would think it was a dupe of BR 540, and then the moment you spray it on your skin, it smells completely different. None of that sweet creaminess is there. You do have almost like warm kitchen spices. You have some of those warmer spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. The saffron is definitely in there, and there is a very pronounced incense note. There is like a lotion kind of quality about it. I think it is a pleasant, more unisex fragrance. I wouldn't say it's definitely masculine, but I think it is a more unisex fragrance, but it is not a dupe of BR 540 outside of the atomizer. On skin, the way that it develops is a very, I don't know, like Middle Eastern kind of fragrance that is very heavy on the incense and warm spices. So if you like things like Magnificently Dubai or Perpetual Oud or any of those fragrances, then this sort of falls into like line with all of that. I would not recommend this to anybody who's not a fan of like oud or incense or myrrh, frankincense, anything like that. If you have a problem with those those notes, I would not recommend this. Now, I sometimes have a problem with some of those notes as well. I don't find them too pronounced in this. Everything is pretty restrained as they are in most Zara fragrances. Most Zara fragrances, other than sweet ones, aren't super intense, and this is also not very intense, a little bit watery. Like I said, it doesn't have that creaminess that you get with the extrait version of BR 540. Like I said, it's not a dupe. It's not a dupe, but it is a nice fragrance that does last a much longer time than most Zara fragrances, so it does work for like 8 hours, and so I don't have any regrets about this, but it is not what I expected at all. So since we're talking Red Temptation, sort of, let's talk about Red Temptation Summer. So Zara had this deal going where it had like a red box where it had Red Temptation, and you could get this, I think, for like $10 more. I think that was a deal, or maybe this was for free, I'm not sure. And it is Red Temptation Summer, and this is supposed to be a dupe of Ex Nihilo's, yeah, Ex Nihilo's Fleur Narcotique, and it is just this very soft floral fragrance, and I'm gonna say this is one of my favorite fragrances that I hauled. I did not expect to love this as much and as hard as I did. I was like, y'all, this is so soft and feminine and beautiful. I am obsessed. I am such a fan of this. This is going into my handbag for the summer. This is a perfect summer fragrance. It's just a light floral that is very pretty. It basically mixes lychee and raspberry together, so very sweet, a little bit tart fruit, not very tart, but mostly sweet. It smells to me like there's pear in here as well to sweeten things. In the mid, we have rose, but like a softer, younger rose with peony to soften the edges of the fragrance. We have a little bit of amber, a little bit of musk, a little bit of vanilla in the base. It is beautiful. It is lovely. There's no woodiness to it. There's no real sharpness to it. It is a soft, sweet, ultra feminine fragrance that is so perfect for summer. And yeah, I love this. It's one of my favorites of everything that I picked up. And even though like I don't think I'm going to be rushing out to get like a bigger size bottle because I can enjoy this and enjoy the other Zara fragrances that I got. Yeah, I love this so much and I wish it was bigger. Now this next one I really enjoy. Like I think it's a really pretty fragrance. I think it is lovely. I'm a little disappointed anyway because it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, even if I think the fragrance itself and the juice itself smells really, really good. And it is Golden Decade. Now here's the thing. Golden Decade is supposed to be a dupe of Libre Intense by Yves Saint Laurent, and Libre Intense is absolutely one of my favorite vanilla fragrances. It is so over the top intensely vanilla, like you can barely smell anything else in it. It is a lot. There is some white florals obviously in the original. There's a little bit of lavender and all the things, but mostly what you're getting from Libre Intense is over the top vanilla-y-ness. Now everybody said that this was a dupe of that fragrance, and I questioned that observation because a lot of people also say Libre Intense and Libre Le Parfum are twins, and to me they are not. Libre Le Parfum is a more lavendery white floral version of the two that has a lot more balance in it, less vanilla in it, and is, even though I really like it, not as good as Libre Intense to me personally, who loves so much vanilla. So I would say this is closer to Libre Le Parfum and not Libre Intense. It's not Libre Intense, it's Libre Le Parfum mostly. So the vanilla is in here, is very pronounced. It's more pronounced than the original Libre. The lavender comes through a lot, especially in the dry down. Like that soapiness, that freshness comes over time in a way that is like very, very pronounced. I will also say the white florals in here. We got some jasmine, we got some orange blossom. They are the main players. They are the main star, even with the vanilla and the lavender in here. The bergamot is not doing anything. Like the citrus maybe offers a little bit of balance, but it's really not doing a lot of work. So yeah, I think this is really pretty. I am going to get a lot of wear out of this. I think it's a very date night appropriate fragrance. I think it smells more complex than a lot of other Zara fragrances, like the next one I'm going to get into. But I would say it is not Libre Intense. It is not a vanilla bomb. It is not a vanilla. It's not vanilla on steroids. It is closer to Libre Le Parfum that has like a lot more balance with the lavender and the soapiness and the white floral and the freshness and all of the things. And most people I know prefer Libre Le Parfum anyway. So yeah, I think they'd enjoy Golden Decade because it's a more affordable version of the thing, but it's not Libre Intense, and that has me a little disappointed. But I suspected as much because people keep telling me the two are the same and they're not the same. So I don't trust people being able to recommend Libre Intense dupes, because if you can't tell the difference between the two of them, then how can you recommend the right one to me? Anyway, yeah, I'm a little salty right now because I don't have the vanilla bomb in a bottle that I had hoped to have, but I know I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of this because this is a pretty fragrance. People were not lying about that. Like I was saying about Zara fragrances being very light, that's one of the things I realized is like a lot of them are like lighter, more summery versions of the original fragrances they're trying to dupe, and nothing epitomizes that more for me than apple juice. Now, apple juice is essentially just grapefruit and apple, and the grapefruit in here is not a very sour or tart grapefruit. It's mostly a fresh one with a little bit of a kick in the back, and there's some florals in here like rose and musk is in here as well, and so it's a very pretty light summery fragrance. I think this is the most summery fragrance there is. Like, it's so height of summer, it's hot out, you don't want anything too perfumey, you just want something a little bit sweet, a little bit fresh, a little bit tart to like carry you through the day. This kind of fragrance you'd wear to the beach. It's just very light and airy, nothing too overpowering. So I really do like this, and I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. No regrets here. I think I'm gonna get, I don't think it's gonna last the whole summer. I think I'm gonna wear this down, wear this out, because if the day is hot enough, like this is the kind of thing you want to put on your body. So apple juice, no regrets for this one. It's a dupe of Chanel Eau Tendre, I think, and so very light, very pretty, very airy, and very simple. It's nothing too complicated. It's mostly just fresh fruit in here doing their thing, and I think it's really pretty. So if that's your vibe, check this one out. I'm happy I have this one. So I also picked up a little baby one of Rose Gourmand. I had mentioned in my last video about Zara, you know, my Zara 20 best reviewed fragrances on YouTube video, that I didn't plan to pick up Rose Gourmand because I already have the fragrance it is duping, the Intense Cafe by Montal, but I saw that it was on sale, this little mini here, and I wanted to give it a try anyway. And I would say I don't really have any regrets about picking this up, especially because it was so inexpensive. But I will say it does really match the fragrance it is duping. It does not have the thickness and creaminess of Intense Cafe, so it doesn't have the same texture, but the smell is very similar with an added amount of musk to it, so it's really nice. I'd say it's a more summery version of Intense Cafe because the texture isn't as heavy and it isn't as creamy. So if you like that Intense Cafe smell, the combination of almond and rose with a little bit of vanilla, just that musky sweetness, a bit of a rosiness to it, then this fragrance like really meets the brief really well without it being too wintry. So I don't have any regrets. I think like the Red Temptation Summer, I'll make it into my bag for the summer. I think it'll be nice to like layer with other things, and I'm looking forward to wearing this one. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't get a full-size bottle. I was right, I didn't need a full-size bottle of this, but I'm glad I got to try it, and I will enjoy wearing what I do have. I was super excited to get my hands on this next one. I didn't go crazy and get a big one. I got a little baby one, and it's Fields of Nightfall. And I was super excited about this one because it's supposed to be a dupe of Zadig & Voltaire's This Is Her, and that is a fragrance that I absolutely love, absolutely enjoy, and I really wanted this to match that kind of energy. Now the original fragrance is this lactonic, creamy, sweet, coconutty fragrance that is absolutely lovely. It's really heavy and thick. It gets on the skin really nicely. I'm such a huge fan, and I had put the original on my list to like rebuy. I have a travel size of it, and I wanted to get a full-size bottle because I love it so much, but I wasn't in any rush because it's such a heavy fragrance. It's really meant for fall. So Fields of Nightfall was meant to be like a nice alternative, a summery alternative, and I will say I understand why everybody says it's a dupe of that fragrance, because the opening of this is so similar. Like when you first spray it, it just jumps out how much it smells like the original. That sweetness is there, that just really creamy wonderfulness is there. But then it starts to dry down and it smells completely different. This fragrance is so musky. It's not that like heavy vanilla coconut smell that you get with This Is Her, that lactonic smell you get, that real just heaviness that you get with the original. That's not here. This is very light and musky. So you have some of the nuances of that fragrance without any of the texture, and most of you're getting overwhelming everything else is that muskiness. So I would say this is not like a bedtime fragrance. Like this would keep me up. It's really distracting because the musk is so heavy in this one. It also helps, the musk helps to keep this fragrance from like dying on the skin really quickly. Like it doesn't disappear as quickly as your typical Zara fragrance. But I will say that this is the kind of fragrance you'd like wear out for drinks on a Friday. That musk is really pronounced, but it does have some interesting elements to it. It's like This Is Her, but it is not This Is Her. So I like this. I'm glad it's only a tiny little bottle, because I think if I'm going to own one, it's going to be the original, because the texture is such a major component to loving that fragrance, and those lactonic elements, those sort of milkiness to it, is part of why I love it so much, and a lot of that is missing in this one, but it is still very pretty. And so if you like This Is Her but you didn't like the last lactonic elements of it because you don't like those kinds of notes, then maybe you would like this one better. I'm not sure. I would give this like a 7 out of 10 for me, where I like it but I don't love it, and I will enjoy it. Y'all, I did not expect to love this last fragrance as much as I do. Like, everything here I mostly enjoy, but I wasn't like shocked by, or I didn't feel like, except for Ebony Wood, didn't have like big feelings about. And then we got to motherfucking Hibiscus. No, everybody who had reviewed Hibiscus talked about how addictive it was, how much like candy smelling fragrances it was, and how they were like, why do I love this as much as I do? And I was like, you know what, that intrigues me. I will check it out for myself to see if it gives as much as they're talking about, and I'm gonna say yes. I love a tropical fragrance that has like a lot of tartness and sourness to it, and this gives that. There's some bitter orange in here that is so pronounced, so interesting, so fun, so fresh, that I fucking love it so much. And we have things like mango and passion fruit in this. It's just a very sweet, tart, a little bit sour, tropical, summery fragrance that is very light and airy, and just a beautiful one that I absolutely love. Now, yes, it does not last very long, and so like a little bottle like this, if you're trying to smell nice throughout the day, will require a bit of topping up. But for those moments you do smell like this, the couple of hours or so you do smell like this, it's such a sexy, fun smelling fragrance. It's such a vacation scent that I was blown away by just how good this was, because I would have expected Zara to just lean in just to the sweetness, but they didn't. The sourness and the tartness in here are just so lovely, and they're right up my alley. And so I think the most surprising love of the bunch is definitely Hibiscus, and I'm very excited about it, and I'm happy to share this one with you. 9 fragrances, y'all. 9. I picked up 9 new perfumes from Zara on my Zara perfume shopping blackout recently. Like, 9 was way too many. I lost my damn mind. But there's something about going on the website and seeing all the fragrances on there. They're like, I want to try that, I want to try that, and the next thing you know, you have 9 in your cart, you're checking out, and it's a little bit of an issue. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy wearing them. I'm glad I didn't overspend, because I think for the price I probably would have gotten maybe 1.5 bottles at Sephora. So there is that. And if you enjoyed this video, check out my last Zara video where I share the 20 best reviewed Zara fragrances on YouTube and maybe on TikTok as well. Maybe that's helpful to you if you are shopping for some Zara fragrances yourself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, do the thing, show me a little bit of love. I'm trying to grow this channel maybe to get to 1,000 subscribers. I would love if that would happen. Again, I'm Janique. I have no self-control when I'm shopping online, and that's a motherfucking problem, but that's a problem I'm going to sort through on another day. Bye, y'all.